the Pilot. That is Melody on 101.5, the Hawk, the Quad County's #1 hit music station. I'm Scottie O. He is Brad Perry, sitting in the studio right now. We've got a couple of extra guests. We've got the Premier himself, Mr. Darrell Dexter.
Hello. Hi, Scottie. How you doing?
Nice to see you, Mr. Premier.
Nice to be with you.
Alongside the Premier is the Cape Breton-Richmond NDP-nominated candidate, Bert Lewis. Bert, welcome to the show, too.
Thank you, Scottie. Glad to be here.
Nice to have you both in studio this morning. Now, Brad's got a couple of serious questions before we get into anything. We want to hit serious issues. Brad, go.
So, of course, both of you downstairs at Strait Area Women's Place this morning for a funding announcement. I guess, Premier Dexter, why did you feel it was important to give funding to the Leaside Society to help Strait Area Women's Place?
Well, it's a community-based organization that provides support for women and their families in a variety of different circumstances. They actually provide the kinds of services that are best related directly to the needs of the community, because they can identify them very quickly. They can bring together the resources much more quickly than government does, and they respond to need in a very realistic way.
Now, Lucille Harper from Leaside Society had been at the Province House to give a presentation to you and the House members. I guess, what was your reaction to that presentation she had given a few months ago?
Well, she'd actually come right directly to our caucus, to our caucus to present, along with a number of other women from other women's centres around the province, and to talk about the programming that they were doing. And one of the issues she brought up was the fact that somewhere in the funding package, the funding for this particular centre had been missed, and that meant that in a community where there was at that time a fair amount of economic stress going on around questions associated with the Strait economy. I mean, this is true really across the province. There's been a lot of stress in the economy the last number of years, but particularly here. And they were being called on to provide more services, and yet they weren't going to receive the money they needed to do that. So I undertook at that point to go back to relook at our budgets and to look at within the Department of Community Services, and to look within our overall budget for that money, which we came up with. And I was happy enough to call Lucille just I think it was a couple of weeks after that to say, look, this really was an oversight. This should have been in the original package, and we're very pleased to announce that we will make sure that money is available.
So this was given to them back in March. Is this something your government is going to plan on doing, continuing next year and years down the road?
You know, we have been a funder of the work that women's centers and transition houses in the province have done. In fact, when we came in 2009, we gave the first increase in funding to those organizations in over a decade. So for more than a decade, they had their budgets frozen. Since then, we've worked with them to increase operational budgets. We obviously value the work that they do. We recognize that in community, the grassroots organizations respond most effectively and most quickly to the needs of the community. And of course, what's great about it is they use provincial resources more effectively. So they will go out into the other services that are being provided by the province, bring them together and build effective programming. So it's just a great partnership. It's very responsive, and I think we need to continue to support it.
I guess moving on to the Ernest Fenwick McIntosh case. So
right.
The Supreme Court of Canada released their decision on that back in April. How do you feel your government has done with the internal review of the Public Prosecution Service?
My understanding is that review is now in the hands of the Minister of Justice. I haven't seen the results of it as of yet. As you would know, we went to this was one of those issues that spans jurisdiction, and in particular the question associated with extradition falls into the purview of the federal government. And in any review, in my humble opinion, any review needs to include the actions that were taken by the appropriate departments in the federal government. We have asked them to cooperate in that review, and really believe that if there is going to be a complete review held, that it ought to be them who takes on that job. So we wrote to them. To my knowledge, we have not received a response back from them, although I have to say the public statements they made were not encouraging. I believe there needs to be a full and proper review of the matter so that people understand all of the circumstances. But ultimately, we do need to have the federal government involved.
Now, MLA Alan McMaster, who's also the justice critic for the Conservatives, he's pushing for an independent review so you can get all of the victims involved too. Is this something that your NDP government is going to consider?
Well, we haven't ruled out anything at this point in time. We did an internal review simply because that is a technical. The question of whether or not a prosecution has proceeded in an appropriate way is actually more of a technical matter. You look at, whether or not standards were met, whether or not timelines that are imposed by the rules of procedure were properly followed. If you're going to look at a broader inquiry, then you're not really looking at the prosecution of the case. You're really looking at the substance of the matter. I'm not sure, whether or not that's a direction we'd want to go in. I mean, I think it is fair to look at the questions associated with whether or not the people who were in charge with the responsibility of discharging the burden of the justice system did it properly. I think those are questions that need to be answered.
Okay. On to Port Hawkesbury paper. As you may or may not know, the company brought in a barge of wood chips from Quebec here within the past couple of weeks. I guess your reaction to them bringing in that barge of chips from Quebec as opposed to using Nova Scotia?
Well, that's not unusual at all. I mean, almost a lot of the mills for a long time have been using fiber from wherever they can get it at the best price that they can get it at. We encourage and have worked with them to develop forest management practices here that are high quality, that mean that we are involving as many contractors as possible. In fact, there are more contractors signed up to supply the mill today than at any time in the history of the mill. So there's bound to be fiber that comes from other places as well to be used. But we are, I believe, seeing a developing success story in this mill. I understand they went 9 days of operation without a break. And I'm told that not only were they one of the most productive mills in North America, they might well have been one of the most productive mills in the world for that 1 month period. And so yes, I understand the need for them to be tough and lean in terms of their operations. The benefits of that are in a tremendous economic input into the Strait region. I don't care whether you're a government or a company or a union or whoever you are, you're never perfect. There are always decisions that you will look at from time to time and say, gee, I wish I had done that differently, or I had done that earlier, or maybe I should have done that at all. But the question, the fundamental question, is about commitment to community. And, I believe that we have displayed a tremendous commitment to this community through the work that we've done around the mill. And I believe the operator is doing that. I believe that the men and women who work in the plant have shown that level of commitment. And we're very proud of that partnership.
Okay, I got some serious, hard-hitting questions. Now, number one, Tim Hortons Camp Day today. Right. Shirts are orange. How do you feel about the color of the shirts?
Oh, I love the color of the shirts. Absolutely. We were down handing out coffee. I screwed up a couple of orders, but I got away with it.
Okay. Number two, you've got Port Hawkesbury Town Councillor nominated candidate for the Cape Breton-Richmond riding. Bert Lewis sitting beside you. Yeah. Is there an election coming? Are we looking at election? Well,
of course we are. We're in the last year of our mandate, so we have to call the election before the end of June in 2009. So somewhere between then and now, there will be an election. But we're doing the kind of work that I assume all the parties are doing. We're nominating candidates. We're raising money. We are putting together our platforms. We are doing all of the things that we need to do in order to be ready when the campaign starts.
How difficult is it going to be for the NDPs, knowing that a lot of your current MLAs have already said, we're not going to return, we're not going to come back and come in for the next election?
Well, I think we have kind of a normal turnover amount. I think there are 6 who have said they're not going to reoffer. And there is a kind of generational change, I think, that's taking place within all of the parties. As you see, the Liberals have had a number of their members, Wayne Cadet, Manning MacDonald, there's a third one who isn't reoffering. I'm trying to think who it is right now. Junior Terrio are not reoffering, and that's just a normal part of political life. I mean, the reality is that despite what people might believe, this is actually a very exhausting lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Takes a big toll on you and your family in many respects. So people at a certain point, they're going to move on, do something else with their lives.
Now, there is one question that we got on our I put the question up on our Facebook fan page this morning.
Yeah.
What questions would you have for the Premier?
Yeah.
We got a lot of questions about the paramedics and that they're in a legal strike position right now.
Yeah.
How is the provincial government looking at the paramedic situation?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously there's negotiations going on, so it's very, very difficult for me to comment, except to say that my desire would be for there to be a constructive dialogue at the table and for there to be a negotiated settlement. I think the membership of the paramedics, I think they must understand that. You have a health minister who was a paramedic mm-hmm. and who was involved in the last dispute from the other side, and so he very much understands the issues that are associated with it. I can only say that we're working very hard to try and get that matter settled. There's been a mediator now appointed. I'm literally praying for a settlement there that will be good for the paramedics and will be good for the province.
Cool.
Now, just I guess one last quick question on that: if it does get to the point where the paramedics do go on strike, is there anything that the government can do? I mean, they are quite an essential service to the province.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, because negotiations are a very, very sensitive point, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to speculate about alternatives. I mean, everybody knows what's out there. Our commitment has always been to full collective bargaining. We want a collectively bargained result, one that recognizes the position of the province, recognizes the importance of the paramedics as a service in our province, and we're working hard to get that. So we'll wait to see whether or not we can conclude it. I truly hope we can.
Okay, Mr. Premier, before you go, last time you were here, I hit you with rapid fire questions. I'm going to do it again. You ready?
Okay.
Rapid fire, just to close it out. Favorite cartoon character?
Bugs Bunny.
Other jobs before politics?
Navy.
Zodiac sign?
Virgo.
McDonald's or Tim Hortons?
Tim Hortons.
Good choice today. Favorite TV show?
The Wire, although it's a series.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. Fiddle or guitar?
Fiddle.
Fiddle? All right.
I'm in Cape Breton. Come on.
Cape Breton. That's why I asked the question. Favorite color?
Blue.
Oh, what are you wearing right now?
I know, but I'm September. It's sapphire blue is my birth color.
I'll give it to you. All right. Boxers or briefs?
Yeah, it depends on the day.
Really? You gave me a no comment last time we did this. You gave me no comment. Spiders or snakes?
Oh, snakes.
Christmas or Easter?
Christmas.
Do you collect anything?
I used to collect buttons, but don't anymore. Now I just collect bad golf scores.
Ooh. Money or love?
Love, always.
L.A. or Chicago?
L.A.
Boston or Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh.
Really?
Absolutely. Sidney Crosby, come on.
Really? All right, we'll continue. Favorite hockey team if you had your choice of the entire league?
Oh, the Montreal Canadiens.
I'm sorry to say that you hear that.
Yeah.
Really? Baseball team?
Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay, good. Last movie you saw?
Last movie I saw, God, I can't even remember the last movie I saw. No idea.
That's good. That means you're working all the time.
That's right.
Right? See, that's what that means. And what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Some fruit, some eggs over easy, and whole wheat toast.
Nice. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
Bert, thanks for coming in, too. I would say
Thank you, Scotty. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Premier. Bert Lewis, both here from the NDP party this morning to talk about what's going on in the province. We appreciate you stopping by and taking a couple minutes to be with us this morning.
My pleasure.
But we got to do news. We're already 5 minutes late. It's news time with Brad Perry here on the...
We are CIGO FM Port Hawkesbury. But you can call us 1015 The Hawk.